I mean, it was clear to me that the administration at Columbia and most members of the faculty believe passionately in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to hurt Jews. That's what I saw. Isn't that what you saw?
I saw.
Now, Governor Walz says, I knew nothing about this, man. It's news to me. And he said, in fact, I'm taking some bold steps. He said, at first, I'm not going to run for a third term. I guess he needs more time. Hope he uses the time to prepare his defense, because he's got a lot to defend here. He knew what was going on.
All right, guys. You just saw that snippet. If your blood isn't boiling yet, just wait until we get into the full footage. We are watching Senator John Kennedy, the king of the folksy reality check, absolutely dismantle the woke circus that's taken over our hearing rooms and our college campuses. Honestly, it is about time someone stood up. We've got these expert witnesses coming in, basically trying to tell us that the reason people are acting like radicals on campus is because we aren't writing them a big enough check. It's the same old.
Damn, I forgot I was muted. But literally, bro, literally, that is what they're doing. Look what the fucking other dude was just doing. The fucking congressman talking about we need money to fix this problem. Meanwhile, he doesn't even know what the fuck the problem was to begin with. These people are literal leeches, parasites, bro. It's fucking disgusting. And damn, son, my shoulder, bro. I'm fucked.
Democrat playbook. If there's a problem, throw taxpayer money at it and call everyone else a racist if they ask questions. But Kennedy, he's not having it. He's calling out the blatant hypocrisy of the squad, Ilhan Omar and her crew, and these professors who seem to have lost their minds.
God,
He's saying what every normal American is thinking while sitting at their kitchen table. When did we start teaching our kids that hate is actually diversity? Buckle up, because we're about to watch a masterclass in how to shred a radical narrative with nothing but a little bit of logic and a lot of courage. Let's dive into the full video.
Ms. Solomon, I want to be sure I understand your testimony. Did I understand you to testify that anti-Semitism is worse under the Trump administration?
Senator, thank you for your question.
You don't have to thank me. Okay. Your best thanks is to answer.
Okay, well, I'll tell you that anti-Semitism has been rising, especially since the 2017
but has the Trump
Charlottesville
administration
attack.
caused that? Is that your testimony?
I wouldn't say the Trump administration has caused anti-Semitism. Has there been an increase since Trump has entered office? Yes.
Do you see a causal connection there?
Yes.
Why?
Trump has highlighted and platformed neo-Nazis and white supremacists.
Okay. Mr. I can't see that far. I understood you to say that the
Remember my theory, guys. I wonder if he's gonna tell her my theory. My theory is there's no such thing as anti-Semitism, because we are in the land of the free, meaning we are free to say whatever the fuck we want about whatever the fuck nation or person or religion or race you are, brother. It does not matter to us. You cannot police what the fuck I say. Holy shit. You see how she said, oh yes, anti-Semitism has went up because Trump platforming supremacists. She knows what the fuck she's trying to say. She knows. Oh my God, bro, this is crazy.
in answer to Senator Durbin's question, the spending reductions, reducing the federal budget would increase anti-Semitism. Isn't that what you said?
No, I did not. I said that the constant threats to cut money to the Office for Civil Rights and the Department of Education prevents the federal government from adequately investigating anti-Semitism and other hate crimes on college campuses.
So you think one way to stop anti-Semitism is to give people more money? Is that
I
right?
think one of the ways is to actually fund
You see how he. I love this dude, bro. Kennedy. This is the best senator we ever had, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
people that are actually designed to investigate anti-Semitism on college campuses.
What's there to investigate? We see it.
We see
We
it,
saw
but
it.
just as-
Did you watch television? Did you see what happened at Columbia?
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it was clear to me that the administration at Columbia and most members of the faculty believe passionately in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to hurt Jews. That's what I saw. Isn't that what you saw?
I saw
Isn't that what you saw?
protesters against the war in Gaza and them using some anti-Semitic slogans and thoughts. I would say, however, that it's hard. I would say,
isn't that
however,
what you're telling me?
that it's
that's not what you
difficult
saw.
For
You're
the
telling.
federal
No, don't get
government
off
to
the
invest-
subject
No, I'm
on me
not.
now.
I'm
You're telling me
saying
that's
difficult.
not what you saw.
I'm telling you that it is difficult for the federal government to adequately address the issue of anti-Semitism.
Are you telling
without
me
appropriate
the
resources.
Columbia administration and the faculty was supportive of the Jewish community?
I think that they are
You
trying
need to
to find.
stop dipping into your ketamine stash.
Excuse me.
Now that if
Yo, my son straight up called him a crackhead. And you know what's crazy? I was born in Brooklyn, New York, baby. I knew a couple Jews that fucked with ketamine. Yo, bro. He must know something, bro. He must know something. Because these motherfuckers most definitely fuck with ketamine, bro. They most definitely do, bro. That's a big thing they do, especially in my old neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York.
we're going to solve this problem, we need to talk about it.
I'm
And it wasn't just at Columbia. It was at Berkeley. It was at UCLA. It was at Bernard. And Columbia has a history of discriminating against Jewish people. They used to refuse to let Jewish students come to their university. Now, you can try to bubble wrap this, but that's what I saw. If you want to stop a lot of the anti-Semitism, maybe we need to stop teaching kids to be anti-Semitic.
Sir, I would relish that opportunity.
Let
and I
me
would-
ask you a question, Ms. Kohab. Did I say that right?
Kohab.
Do you think it's possible to feel compassion for the Palestinian people without hating Jews?
Absolutely.
In fact, one of the lawyers representing one of the thieves in this case said,
I'm gonna tell you right now why it's impossible. It is impossible to support Palestine and not hate the Jews. It's impossible because in order to support Palestine, you must hate the Jews for winning the war. It's that simple. It's that simple. It's that simple, bro. Holy shit. You must hate the Jews for winning the war and taking their land. That is the whole reason for supporting Palestine. Because Palestine doesn't exist. That shit's been taken over plenty of years ago. We don't have to discuss this shit anymore.
many of the people, this was their excuse, said many of the people involved in the stealing thought that the state was okay with it. That's what he said. Here's his quote. No one was doing anything about the red flags. Red flags were everywhere. Nobody in state government, he said, was doing anything about the red flags. It was like someone was stealing money from the cookie jar and they kept refilling it. The state knew. And at one point, Governor Walz and some of his agencies said, whoa, you know, maybe we ought to put a stop to this. And they backed off. They said no more money for a while. Well, fresh hell broke loose. You know what happened? The largest, most powerful, fictitious company, run mostly by people of Somali ancestry, sent an email to the Minnesota state government. And they said that the state agency that was failing to promptly approve new applications and give us new money from, quote, minority-owned businesses, close quote, was going to result in a lawsuit featuring accusations of racism that would be sprawled across the news. If you don't give us our money, we're going to call you racist. They did it. It's all come out in evidence at trial. In fact, a lady by the name of Kesa Megan, she's one of the good guys. She is a Somali American who used to work as a fraud investigator in the Attorney General's office, who, by the way, was just as involved as Governor Walz in turning a blind eye to all this. She says, and she said it in the newspaper, she said that elected officials, and particularly those who are part of the state's Democratic-led administration, were reluctant to take more assertive action in response to the allegations. Why?
Well, ain't that a shame?
Here's her quote. There is a perception that forcefully tackling this issue might cause political backlash from the Somali community, which is a core voting bloc for Democrats.
That's crazy.
And she is among the few among many prominent figures in the Somali community who is speaking out against the fraud.
Wow, just wow. Did he really say the ketamine line? Kennedy's a legend. But look, jokes aside, let's talk about what we actually just witnessed because it is deeply disturbing. We watched a university professor, someone we are paying to educate the next generation, basically suggest that anti-Semitism on campus is a funding issue. Are you kidding me? Since when does a lack of federal grants turn a student into a radical? It's a total cop-out. These woke academics want to blame the Trump administration. They want to blame budget cuts. They want to blame everything except the toxic ideology they are pumping into these kids' heads every single day. And then you look at the squad and the situation in Minnesota with Tim Walz. Kennedy hit the nail on the head. They are more afraid of hurting their voting bloc's feelings than they are of stopping actual literal fraud. We're talking about millions of your dollars, taxpayer money, vanishing into thin air, and the people in charge are essentially saying, well, we didn't want to look mean by investigating it. It is the definition of a dereliction of duty. Ilhan Omar and her allies have spent years trying to convince us that America is this wicked place, but as Kennedy points out, they're the ones destroying the very institutions they claim to care about. They talk.
Think about it. Any person with fucking common sense would know if you hate a place so fucking much, why the fuck you don't just up and leave? Anybody with half a brain would know that, right? If you hate this country so fucking much, why don't you just leave then? The reason why these people don't leave is because it's beneficial to them. They love this country. They just want to act like they hate this fucking country. If they didn't love this country, they would have left. Like they left their piece of shit country. So come on now. Come on now. Common sense.
Talk about compassion. But as we saw at Columbia and UCLA, that compassion only goes one way. If you don't fit their narrow definition of a victim, you're fair game for harassment. Kennedy did something today that the mainstream media refuses to do. He held up a mirror to the radical left. He showed that their diversity, equity, and inclusion framework has evolved into a diversity of hate, where the only thing not included is common sense. I'm tired of the moral lectures from people who can't even admit when their own policies are failing. I'm tired of seeing our money used to fund safe spaces, that are anything but safe for students who actually love this country. Senator Kennedy isn't just a politician. In these clips, he's a proxy for every American who is sick and tired of being told that 2 + 2 = 5. He didn't need a fancy teleprompter or a high-priced consultant. He just used the truth. And the truth, as we saw by that crowd erupting, is the one thing the radical left can't stand to hear. What did you guys think? Was the ketamine comment too much? Or was it exactly what that professor needed to hear? Drop your thoughts in the comments because the silent majority isn't so silent anymore. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're standing with Kennedy and common sense.
Oh, I had to take a piece.
Mr. President, as you well know,
My son, he
the
got a
American people are the
YouTube?
most generous.
Nah, he got to fucking YouTube, bro. Nah, shout out Senator John Kennedy, bro. This is my favorite senator, bro. I ain't gonna lie. This is my favorite fucking senator, okay? My man got a YouTube channel, and this shit's flourishing too. Holy shit, he got mad views. This is nice. I'm definitely tune into this shit. Let's see, what's his last one? Kennedy on U.S. Senator, the Senate floor. New Orleans political leadership needs to get in its act together. This is on the Ayatollah.
About 90%, Mr. President, of my personal and political philosophy is don't hurt someone unless they're trying to hurt you first.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take other people's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And leave me alone. Let me live my life, exercising the free will and responsibility that God gave.
Yes.
Which leads me to my first topic, Mr. President. Iran. I'm not talking about the people of Iran. I'm talking about the political and religious leadership of the government of Iran. Talking about the Ayatollah and his followers. And in America, we separate government from religion. Not in Iran, thanks to the Ayatollah. The government tells you what religion to practice. The government is the religion. Now, everybody has the right to believe what they want. I'll tell you what the Ayatollah believes. He's Muslim. But his strain of Islam says that if you do not agree with his interpretation of God,
Then he has the right to kill you.
then you deserve to die. You do. And he acts on that belief. Now, let me say again, the Ayatollah is entitled to believe what he wants. I was raised a Presbyterian. My parents founded 2 Presbyterian churches. When Becky and I got married, Becky was a Methodist. I was a Presbyterian. We compromised. I became a Methodist. I'm entitled to believe what I want. But the Ayatollah not only thinks that I'm going to hell because I don't agree with his religion, he wants to kill me. He wants to kill Americans and Israelis and anybody who does not believe in his jihad and drink our blood out of a boot. And he's acted on that. I don't need to tell you, Mr. President. I don't need to tell you. And he has acted on that. And that's not acceptable.
In any court.
Now, a lot of the people in Iran, the good people in Iran, don't agree with the Ayatollah. If they disagree with him too loudly, he just kills them. Now the Ayatollah, it's actually been the case for the last, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years. The Ayatollah has decided he wants a nuclear warhead. Why should we care? You know,
'Cause he hates
I
us.
hear from some of my fellow Americans all the time, why do we need to be involved in Iran? Why should we care?
Because they hate
Well, number
us.
one, we're not trying to start a war in Iran. The president is trying to end a war in Iran. If the Ayatollah gets a nuclear weapon,
We're
he will
done.
use it. He could use it against America. He could use it against Israel. I don't know who he'll use it against, and I hope I'm wrong, but he will use it. And you know what else will happen? As soon as he gets a nuclear weapon, Saudi Arabia is going to get a nuclear weapon. And the UAE is going to get a nuclear weapon. And Japan's going to get a nuclear weapon. And South Korea, and I could go on and on and on. And the more nuclear weapons you have in the world, the more likely you are to have a nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the only thing the Ayatollah has done since he became the Ayatollah. He exports terrorism. He was the person behind Hamas and Hezbollah that have killed so many people throughout the world. Not just in the Middle East, but across the world, including, but not limited to, Americans. That's why we ought to care.
Mm-hmm.
The Ayatollah also has conventional ballistic missiles and is building more as we speak. Now, those missiles can't reach America yet, but they're working on one, and they can sure reach our military bases in the Middle East. And they can sure reach Israel. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That's why we should care. And finally, the Ayatollah, if you disagree with him, and we've seen it happen on TV, we don't know how many people he's hung in the last 6 months. We don't know how many people he's tortured. I've seen estimates as high as 50,000. So that's what this business with Iran is all about. We're not trying to be the world's policeman. We're trying to stop the Ayatollah from being the world's policeman, who's getting a lot of support from President Xi Jinping in China and Vladimir Putin in Russia and Kim Jong-un in North Korea. So that's where we find ourselves, trying to stop this war. And to the Ayatollah, I would say, Ayatollah, you're entitled to believe what you want. You can hate me. You can believe that. I know you hate me and what I stand for. You know how I sleep at night knowing that you hate me? With the fan on. That's your right. But you can't act on that belief.
That's the difference. That's the difference, bro, between our faith and you guys' faith. You guys' faith want to act on your hatred. Our faith, we could hate you, but we don't want to kill you. We don't want to hurt you. As long as you don't act on your fucking beliefs and your hatred, we don't give two fucks about you. For real. We wouldn't give two fucks about these people if they didn't act on their hatred. But they showed time and time and time again of these motherfuckers acting on their hatred. We can't allow that shit to happen, bro. Especially if they have nuclear weapons, forget about it, bro.
Put down the nuclear weapons. Put down the nuclear enrichment. Stop exporting terrorism to Hamas and Hezbollah. End your missile program. Stop killing and torturing your people. That's all we want. And he's doing that as we speak. He's at war. We're trying to stop it. I'm not about to tell the president, give the president any advice. He has intelligence that I don't have. And I respect the fact that he's being very, very, very deliberate and careful in making a decision. If we make a deal with Iran, let's make sure we have a protocol to enforce it. Because my experience in watching the Ayatollah through the years, I wouldn't trust this man if he was 3 days dead. I wouldn't trust him if he was 3 days dead. Anybody whose religion tells them that in order to be saved, they've got to go kill hundreds of millions of people, you can believe it if you want. But as far as I'm concerned, it's time to get a new religion. And that's what we're doing in Iran. Let me say it again. We're not trying to start a war. This war began a long time ago.
We're trying to end it.
We're trying to end it. Our president presiding today knows exactly what I talked about. He served honorably, had great physical, mental, and emotional expense in the Middle East. That's what we're trying to stop.
Real fuck, I'm in, bro. I fuck with John Kennedy.